Okay, good afternoon and welcome to this amazing event. I just heard that there's some wrecks on 1488, so I'm assuming people will start to trickle in. So anyway, so excited to be here with you all. Welcome to Acton Leadership Academy's second annual NGA Talks. I am honored and thrilled to be opening and emceeing for these 12 world changers that you're about to hear from very soon. First, I want to thank all of you for coming. Here at Acton, we believe that we can't do anything great without the support of family and friends. And world changers cannot change the world without a team. And we see you guys as our #1 players in helping us make this happen. And second, thank you to Magnolia First Baptist Church for providing the venue. It is perfect and beautiful and fits our needs exactly. So thank you for providing this space. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of walk you through what the program is going to look like. We have 12 speakers today. Each of them will speak from about 9 to 11 minutes. And in between, we put them into 4 sets. And in between each set, we'll have a sort of break. So after set 1 and 3, we're going to show a quick 2-minute video. Feel free to sneak out if you need to or go to the restroom. And then halfway through, we have a 10-minute intermission where the lights will come up. You can visit with each other. Again, leave if you need to and do what you need. And then we'll start again. And at the end, they'll all come up and say their thank yous, and that's a good photo opportunity. We're going to have them all stand up here in the front, so get your cameras ready for that. Following that, then it's over, and we've got some light refreshments for you outside, and all of the launch padders will go out into the foyer, so you can ask them any questions and just visit with them at that point. I just want to draw your attention to one thing on our program. There's a QR code there. And what they've provided for you guys is a way to get in contact with them. So their goal with these talks is to enroll you, is to share their vision with you. And if you have someone in your life that you know could help them on their next step, or if you somehow want to help them financially, then you can go to that, the QR code, and all of their information, their contact information is there, and you can leave yours there as well. So it's a place to connect with them. And then one final exciting note is we've got some NGA Talk alumni here. So Frankie and Jordan, I see that you guys are here. Will you guys just wave? We can give them a round of applause. Yay, they did this last year. They didn't know I was going to do that. They're getting red. Awesome. Okay, so right before they come up, our courageous, beautiful, bold owner, Michelle Bowen, is going to share, like, what is this? Where did it come from? Why is this so important to our school? And start us off. So welcome up, Michelle Bowen.
All right, who out there is a parent? Not a parent of one of our people necessarily, but any parent of any age. Awesome. Yeah, I feel like someone was going to clap. Yeah, we should clap. All parents should get a clap. Okay, now raise your hand if any of you are a parent who somewhere along your parenting journey learned that you were worrying way too much about things that mattered way too little. Okay, maybe a few less hands. Thank you. So recently my family and I were reviewing some old photos and videos, and we came across this one. Oh, I have to hit the thing. Nope. How do I go back? There. This is our youngest child, and we're at the Children's Museum. And I'll just let you watch. Yeah. Almost done. Ta-da! He did it. When I saw this video, I just kept thinking of it, and it reminded me that I was obviously at that time at a place in my parenting journey where I was happy to just watch him struggle and laugh the whole time. Shortly after that, we opened a school for our 6 children, and based on that kind of idea, what if we just sat back and watched the children have a hard time? What would that look like? What if we did so curiously? And what if we cheered them on and encouraged them, but didn't necessarily step in and save the day for them? So we opened a school, and that allowed me an opportunity to talk with many parents at different places in their journey. And I remember in thinking about this, one very impactful conversation I had with the parent. This dad had several young children, and he was very concerned, particularly about his two young boys. They were probably about second grade and fourth grade, and he was just trying to figure out if we gave them this Acton opportunity, if we let them have a high degree of choice, how would they be prepared for a career that they hated? How would they be prepared to do the grind of a horrible job to provide for their family? And we finished the conversation, and it wasn't really until the next day I realized he was talking about his life. And he couldn't imagine a world where that didn't have to be the reality of his life or that for his children. So, what do we do about this? This problem that faced our generation and could face the generations in the future. And that is what has brought us here today. Today you'll get to see our answer to that problem, that our children do not have to live that kind of life, and we as parents do not have to live in the fear that they will have a job they hate, that they will not enjoy life, that they will just do the grind to get through, because there's a better way. And Acton's answer to that is the Next Great Adventure experience. So you're going to see a little bit today of what these heroes have gone through and where they're headed. So I'll explain a little bit. They start out very young at Acton, exploring lots of different things. Their passions, hobbies, exploring. It's all over the map. When they get to Launchpad, well, first in the navigation studio, they will do apprenticeships. Lots of different short apprenticeships that get longer and longer. And that's all in this zone of what we call exploring. When they get to Launchpad, they will continue to explore until they start to get a little bit more alignment. They do a lot of deep dive into their own self, and they do interviews with people to try and get some direction of where they want to go. Once they've got that lined up, then they do the hardest and scariest thing of all. They commit. Do I hit that button? Okay, nope, go back. Thank you. He's got me. They make a commitment. They say, I've practiced, I've interviewed, I've done the research and put the time in that now I'm ready to commit to something. And that's what you're going to see today. Now, just so you know, at any time during the Next Great Adventure experience, they can go back to searching if they decide, okay, I was committed, but I've learned more about myself and the world and how I want to give to the world, so I'm going to go back. And they do the process again. This is how we know they're never going to be stuck in that situation, because they have the tools and the experience to move themselves forward very deliberately to where they want to be. So today you will see them. They're going to give their talks, and this is a very specific type of talk that has very specific things in it. Towards the end, well, I shouldn't say towards the end. They can do whatever they want. Generally, you will hear them ask for help. As Mindy mentioned, there's a QR code in your program that offers a way for you to help. That could be, hey, I know someone in your industry that you might want to interview, or I am an expert and you may want to talk with me, or I have resources for you. So that's one way that you can all help support them as they go create the world that they envision. The other thing that you'll hear is that they have the opportunity to earn up to a $100,000 fellowship through the Next Great Adventure program experience. I don't know. There's a board of people that review every NGA talk that's given around the world, and they are there to help fuel their Next Great Adventure. So they'll be asking for something from you potentially, or the NGA board, and so you'll see when they ask for that. Once they get to committed, they move forward and they go out to build their dreams. So it's time to turn it to them and the world that they are helping us to create. This is a world where we fiercely trust children so that they gain the confidence, character, and real-world skills that they need to find their calling and change the world. This is a world where confidence is not built because we help someone succeed. It's built because they get to try and pick up all the balls and drop them, and pick them back up and drop them. And as they do that, they get the confidence they need. They grow the character that they need, and they have the skills they need to create the world that they want to create and where they're ready to change the world.
Hello. Once upon a time, there was a boy who thought a bit differently than everyone else. He saw the world through a different lens and struggled with reading and writing. So the public school system placed him in special education to help him keep up with individuals his own age. Life wasn't always easy being different from everyone else. He was treated one way when he talked to his peers face to face, and another once he turned his back. The tunes would quickly change from kind to cruel. After noticing that people aren't always as they seem on the surface, he had difficulty reaching out to others and cherishing his friends because he didn't know who he could trust. He was lonely and anxious because if he had been wrong about who his real friends were, what else was he wrong about? However, this is not just another sad story of a kid with Asperger's and dyslexia who suffered throughout public school. This story was in fact me when I was younger. This story was my daily life at public school, just numbly going through the motions, always being suspicious of my friends and peers, and wondering if I was being made fun of behind my back for being different and slow. Until one day, I recognized this kind of schooling in life wasn't for me. So I needed a different environment than those at public schools or many private schools. So me and my parents went and looked for alternative schools, and one of the alternative schools we found was called Acton. Acton was a perfect fit for me. I've been at this Acton for the past 4 years now, and it's changed my life for the better. I learned a bunch of communication skills to help with my Asperger's, and I worked at my own pace on reading and writing. I've even tested it in the top 96% of people overall in reading and science. I'm also in the top 91% overall. If I had not gone to Acton, I would not be standing where I am now, talking to you guys today. I would have been too nervous and scared to present anything like this prior to attending this school. So why am I standing here, changed and confident? It's because I have a dream and actions to attain my dream. With the skills I've learned at Acton, I plan to change the world through rigorous research on how human patterns negatively impact wildlife and then create mutually beneficial solutions for both human progress and wildlife preservation. It was surprisingly easy for me to come to the conclusion that I wanted to work with animals. Since my childhood, I've consistently been interested in animals and nature. It has always been easier for me to be around animals rather than people because people are complicated creatures. Not that animals aren't. Humans will say they are fine and don't need help, when in fact they aren't okay and want your help. An excellent example of this that has happened multiple times throughout my life is I have asked my sister if she needs help with something, and she would say, I'm okay. But then a few hours later, she would get upset with me because she actually needed my help at the time, but said otherwise. This also happens the other way around, where I ask if she needs help, and when she says no, I'll ask again. And then she'll get annoyed at me for asking again. It's a never-ending tug of war for me to understand the underlying meaning of what people are telling me and what they actually want me to do. On the other hand, animals are easier to understand. When they're hurt or need assistance, they'll tell you through the body language and won't try to hide anything. I want to help them because they have supported me throughout my life. Through all my experiences, I have learned that humans cannot help but have an impact on animals, and that animals also have a remarkable impact on humans as well. Let me illustrate both of these points, starting with the benefits that animals can have for humans. I used to go to a place called Inspiration Ranch, where they did equine therapy, which is where you learn to care for specially trained horses, which you would also ride. I went there because of my own anxiety. The horses helped me control my stress because horses have similar behaviors to humans, such as responsive behaviors. Horses also have the ability to mirror the feelings of the handler or rider. This is because horses have exceptional hearing, can hear a human's heartbeat from 4 feet away. Studies have also shown that humans and horses will synchronize their heart rates together, causing the rider to feel more energized and calm after doing horseback riding and leaving. The rider will also learn how to control their own anxiety by understanding what causes the horse anxiety and how to control it. Equine therapy is just one example of how animals help to make human life better. In addition to helping with anxiety, it has also been shown to help with ADD, ADHD, autism, cerebral palsy, dementia, depression, developmental delays, genetic syndrome such as Down syndrome, PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, behavior issues, abuse issues, and many other mental health problems. Now I'll share an example of how humans' development affects wildlife. I've seen this firsthand concerning the endangered blanding turtle. I learned about this during an apprenticeship at the Lake County Forest Preserve in Illinois. While there, I was tasked with tracking and collecting data and measurements on the highly endangered blanding turtle. They had me doing this to see how and where the reproducing females traveled during the breeding season, where they were most likely to go, and if any were trapped. One of the things they had found before I got there was that turtles were very susceptible to getting stuck between railroad tracks during the travels between the major ponds. Once trapped, the turtles would die of dehydration because they could not get out from between the tracks. While I was there, they were hypothesizing ways to ensure the turtles would not get trapped. One of the suggestions I heard was putting drainage tunnels underneath the railroad tracks, as you can see in that picture over there, which were found to have the most turtles trying to pass through so that they can go under the track instead of trying to go over them and getting stuck. This is a little bit of what I got to experience while working with the blanding turtles. After physically going out and helping wildlife in their natural habitat, I knew that I had found my calling. It was an exhilarating experience for me. I felt energized after a long day of work and couldn't wait for the next day to start and then do it all over again. My path is heading toward a wildlife biologist position. As you can see from these two examples alone, humans and animals have an inseparable connection. Wildlife biologists can help preserve this environment by tracking endangered animals, doing checkups, and gathering data on them to see if they are healthy. Suppose the population is unusually unhealthy or has been dying more often. Once they have discovered the reason why the population is declining, their new job is to try to find ways to fix the problem. Imagine this, a world where human progression doesn't come at the cost of wildlife. In fact, I'm committed to creating a world where wildlife research takes into account the impact it will have on humans as well. To use a familiar example, most people know that cutting down forest for wood is bad for the wildlife. As a civilization, we can't stop using wood entirely because it is used in so many things from houses to paper. Instead of trumpeting the unrealistic suggestion of just not using wood anymore, we should try finding ways to cut down trees that have the smallest effect on wildlife and the environment with the greatest benefit for humans. I am passionate about finding an equilibrium between human progression and environmental welfare. I'm continually amazed by the mutual benefits that humans and wildlife can offer one another. I can get this done because I have been working to learn about and protect animals since I was 5 years old, as a foster family for dogs and cats. Since then, I have spent thousands of hours fostering dogs and cats, did an apprenticeship at the Houston Zoo for 300 hours, volunteered at my local animal rehabilitation center for 90+ hours, cleaning cages, scooping poop, thawing and feeding mice to our birds of prey, watching and helping with whatever animal triage they would allow me to, and cleaning up around the center. I'll bet you are wondering what I plan to do with all the experience I've gained from my apprenticeships and hours of animal care, and that is where it gets really exciting. In preparation for eventual work as a biologist in Alaska, I plan to head to Australia for a 14-week semester abroad program that focuses on rainforest ecology and conservation, climate change, habitat restoration, ecology, and much more. This will be a spectacular experience for me because it will give me hands-on experience conducting a comprehensive field research project that involves developing a research question, collecting and analyzing data, writing a paper, and presenting my findings. This training and experience in conducting a field research project will transfer greatly to my job after college, where I'll be doing the same thing but on my own. In order to make this happen, I'm asking for $26,500 in financial support to attend the semester abroad program in Australia. While there, I will also earn 16 college credits. The $26,500 includes tuition, room and board, daily meals and snacks, airport transfers for arrival and departure, field excursions, cultural activities, and more. With this experience and networking opportunity, I will have an excellent stepping-off point after college into the wildlife biology field, where I promise to find ways to fix or mitigate humanity's impact on wildlife with the least impediment to human innovation. I promise to work wholeheartedly during my session abroad program in Australia. I also promise that in my work after college, I will not put the needs of wildlife over the needs and innovations of humans. Many wildlife conservation groups have unrealistic expectations of the sacrifices they ask people to make to preserve the environment. I plan to work on bridging that gap. This is what makes me unique and will help me to make an even greater impact when it comes to how humans interact with wildlife. Thank you all for coming here today and listening to my NGA talk. I hope you come away from these talks today with a new outlook on life and a little bit more hope in humanity during these challenging times, knowing that these next 11 students you will hear from today are going to go out and change the world for the better. Thank you so much, and goodbye for now.
It was December 28th, 2020, a night that would change my life forever. I sat at the dinner table with my family and friends when suddenly everything took a terrifying turn. My throat began to close up, causing me to go into anaphylactic shock. I was rushed to the emergency room as anxiety set in. During that visit, they gave me 2 EpiPens, which took hours before actually working. They sent us home in the middle of the night with a referral to the allergist and a few precautions I could take in the meantime. I went to the emergency room a lot that month, as I kept having reactions. But the only answer I was ever given was to wait for allergy testing. I had doctors constantly trying to prescribe me anxiety medicine, and was often told that what I was feeling was just in my head. I was tested for every allergy that you could think of, and when the test came back, they found that I had nothing wrong, which seemed like a good thing, but that only deepened the mystery surrounding my condition, leaving me with no answers. Although the allergist did refer me to a GI specialist, that appointment was months away. That time waiting was very challenging. I started losing weight rapidly because I could only tolerate smoothies. The anxiety medication they prescribed me made me feel terrible, exhausted, mentally foggy, and overall worsened my mental health. As we continued waiting for that GI appointment, I began experiencing new symptoms. One day, while shopping with my dad, my left leg suddenly went numb. Though the feeling eventually faded, it was followed by an intense pain the next day. Another visit to the ER again gave us no answers, and despite an x-ray, my pain remained unclear. I remember texting my mom saying I was glad my leg was numb. At the time, I did not realize that my leg being numb was way more concerning than the pain. My mom rushed home, and we quickly went to the emergency room. We were there for about 5 minutes before they sent us a referral to the children's hospital. At that hospital, I ended up having a 4-hour MRI and multiple tests. The next morning, a team of doctors came in and explained to us that they had discovered something called syringomyelia, which is a cyst of spinal fluid in my spinal cord. This helped explain the pain and numbness in my arms and legs. However, the team was not the greatest when it came to communication. I remember one of the physical therapists saying, "There's not really anything we can do. You can take pain meds, do physical therapy, maybe use walking aids until you're paralyzed and in a wheelchair." Hearing that at 13 years old was terrifying. We asked the doctors if my trouble eating was connected, and they said no, meaning the search for what was wrong was still not over. I had a nurse come up to me and say, "Are you sure you're not just anxious? You know, when I was in college, I'd given myself an eating disorder too." I was so sick and tired of everyone saying that I was making it all up. It felt like no matter what I said or did, the doctors did not care to listen. Eventually, that GI appointment did come, and again, after many, many tests, they found nothing. At this point, I had started to think that maybe the doctors are right. Maybe I was making it all up. My mental health was at an all-time low, and I was getting sicker and sicker each day. The next appointment I had was a follow-up MRI to check on my syringomyelia. And when my neurologist called, she said, "Good news, your condition has not worsened. But we found something else." Essentially, on my MRI, she saw that my veins were compressing one of my arteries, causing it to crush my left kidney. This condition is called nutcracker syndrome, which I know sounds absolutely ridiculous, but fitting since my kidney was being crushed like one of those Christmas nutcrackers. We were stuck. With weeks passing by and my condition only worsening, I was in excruciating pain every day, reaching a 9 or 10 on the pain scale. My mom tirelessly searched for doctors or surgeons who could offer help. There were only 5 surgeons experienced enough to operate on my condition, 4 in the US and 1 in Germany. Fortunately, one of them was located in Madison, Wisconsin, just a few hours away from us. Although it took a few months to secure an appointment, we eventually made it there. At that appointment, I met with a nephrologist, a specialist in kidney conditions, and the transplant surgeon. They conducted a veinogram, a procedure where dye is injected through a vein in your neck to visualize them on a scan. From the results, they determined that my condition was severe. Additionally, they diagnosed me with May-Thurner syndrome, where my iliac vein was completely compressed, leading to the formation of new veins in an attempt to improve blood flow, but ultimately resulting in veins compressing my lumbar spine. Due to the poor blood flow, I was now at risk for developing blood clots. The main thing they talked about was a doctor's idea for a risky surgery called kidney autotransplantation. That means they would take out my left kidney and move it to the right side to fix the problem caused by Nutcracker syndrome. Deciding whether or not to have this surgery was really difficult. My family and I thought a lot about it, but I was in so much pain all the time, and I just wanted to feel better, even if it was just a little bit. I finally had a surgery date for November 9th. The months of waiting were tough. I missed a lot of school and social events, but when the day finally came, I was ready, hoping that this surgery would be the key to making me feel better. I do not remember those first days after surgery. However, it was successful. I spent over a week in the hospital and then another week recovering at a nearby Ronald McDonald House. Recovery was tough, but I could already feel some relief. The pain in my stomach was gone, and I could even start going back to school again. I even got to do theater again. It has been 4 years since the beginning of this all, and truthfully, I cannot say that I am fully healed, but I do believe that I'm a walking miracle. It's been over a year since I've had to use any crutches, walkers, or wheelchairs, and if you looked at me, you wouldn't be able to tell that I have syringomyelia, POTS, May-Thurner's, Raynaud's, the list goes on. And aside from the 6th scar on my stomach, you wouldn't know that just a few years ago I was in surgery having a kidney autotransplant. I don't know how I'm able to be standing up here, or how I'm able to get out of bed and actually live. There's no way to logically explain it. The girl who was told by all of her doctors that she would be paralyzed, bedbound, and miserable is standing up on a stage in front of an audience sharing her story, and how she is going to change the world. And I am going to do just that. I am going to change the world. I envision a world where every child can not only get the medical attention they need, but one where the child will be deeply listened to by their doctors and nurses. A world where no child is left feeling dismissed, unheard, and unseen by a lack of clear and caring communication. In this perfect world, no child would be left traumatized from the doctors who chose not to listen. What if there was a greater emphasis placed on narrative and communicative care? What if doctors all over the world begin to see the invaluable insight that a child offers about their medical needs by just having practice of stopping and listening? To make this world a reality, we will need to train medical professionals all over the world to stop, slow down, look their child patients in the eyes, and wholeheartedly listen to them, as a matter of medical practice, not just bedside manner. We will need to create awareness and training for medical professionals that shines the light on the importance of listening to their patients. This needs to become a common practice in every medical school and hospital around the world. This is a huge undertaking, I know, but as you also know, I believe in miracles. So, what makes me qualified to start this change? In the past year, I've taken on a few big projects to help me understand kids and medicine a bit more. For example, last summer, I completely created and ran a summer camp program for children. And this school year, I've spent a total of 153 hours working with the younger students as a leadership coach and mentor. I also am currently fulfilling an 80-hour apprenticeship at an integrative medical clinic. And as you can see, once I put my mind to something, nothing, not even life-threatening illnesses, can stop me. You also are probably wondering, how am I going to make this world a reality? Don't worry, I have a plan, and it starts right now. Although I need your help. I can't do this alone. In order to get started right away, I need to have some intensive hands-on experience with children in need of some serious care. My first step is to travel and gain extensive experience listening to children. I'm going to challenge myself in ways that I haven't yet by listening to children who do not speak my language. This summer, I plan on taking my first medical exhibition, a medical mission trip to Bali. This program is offered through an organization called Global Leadership Adventures. It is a 14-day trip where ambitious teens like myself will shadow medical students at pop-up clinics, observe the public health systems in developing communities, visit a natural birth clinic, and lead health education classes for local youth, and do many other amazing volunteer work, totaling 24 hours of community service. I am so excited to learn about new cultures, to see diverse healthcare settings, and to learn the philosophy behind holistic wellness. I know that this trip will be full of life-changing adventures, and I cannot wait. This is something I can do now, to get started right away. Then, Once I complete high school, I will earn a degree in social services so that I can begin my career as a patient advocate in a hospital setting. All of my experience will help me with a massive project that will raise awareness around the importance of narrative medicine by offering specific training as to how to do so. I will travel to hospitals and medical schools all around the world to share this vital message, knowledge, and training. And here's where I need your help. A trip like this is not cheap. I need to raise $7,175 and quickly, as spots on this trip are filling up fast. This amount covers the tuition and plane tickets needed to get there and back. I promise that if you give me this money, I will go on this trip, learn all that I can, and serve with my whole heart. I promise that I will work to go on more trips, and next year at my final NGA talk, I will share with you all the stories and lessons I've learned. And I promise to continue down the path of becoming a child advocate, to do apprentices and continue learning every day. I truly believe that this will not only change my life, but the lives of others who I meet all the way across the world. A lot of us take for granted the little things in life. I know I definitely used to. I don't exactly know why I was given a second chance at living, but I know it was for a greater purpose. And I am not going to take this miracle for granted. And even though I went through a lot of struggles, I was still lucky I was diagnosed in those few years, as a lot of people have to wait their entire lives to get diagnosed and to even receive care. And even though I had some not so great doctors, I am so grateful for the doctors who did listen, who cared, and who promised me that they would figure out what was wrong. Those doctors inspired me. I can't even imagine how hard it must be for people in other countries who don't have good doctors and the good equipment that we have, which is exactly why I'm going to go on this trip. I'm going to give them a second chance. Thank you. And next up, we have Landon Adams.
Imagine a little blonde boy wandering around his dad's workshop. His eyes are wide with wonder as he walks around. As he walks around, he is fascinated by the intricate tools and machinery that surround him. He marvels at the different saws, drills, and other equipment, unaware of the potential or what they could be used for. He will stare at these tools intently, imagining the possibilities and creations he can make with them. In this moment, he is completely absorbed in his own world, not thinking of anything else. That little boy, lost in his imagination and creativity, was me, many years ago in my dad's shop. While my fascination for building and creating with my hands has remained to this day, my understanding for these tools and techniques involved in has grown significantly. I was very fortunate to have this provided me as a creative outlet. Throughout my time at Acton, I've had the opportunity to put these skills to use on various projects. But I was always wishing there was something like a shop class to hone my skills even further than just my limited time at home. I would always find myself completely immersed in the process of creating. And it's through this that I discovered my passion and my true calling. About 4 years ago, in that same shop mentioned before, I was helping my dad with one of his projects, and he had just gotten his new Eastwood MIG welder. After showing me how to weld with it, I started using it independently, learning as I went. One of my earliest projects was creating a metal flower. It was a delicate process that required a great deal of precision, but I was able to complete it to a satisfactory level. Another project I'm particularly proud of is a metal guitar. It took a considerable amount of time and effort, but however, it was all worth it in the end because I was able to sell it at one of our school's exhibitions. I've also created a presentation stand to use those same exhibitions to display my work and help showcase it to make it more eye-catching to viewers. But probably my favorite project of them all was my trident. I made it for a book project in my third year at Acton. Although it was one of my earlier projects, it taught me so much about various techniques and tools in the process. Working on this trident allowed me to learn how to use tools such as a plasma cutter, bandsaw, hone my skills on the grinder, and most importantly, progress my skill in welding. This is my favorite project because it was one of the first projects I was able to actually use and play around with. I would spend hours throwing it outside, trying to get it as far as I could. Although, you can imagine, younger me didn't get the 6-foot metal steel pipe too far. This is when I realized that I wanted to weld for my career. Just the thought of being able to do this, or something like this, for the rest of my life was and still is an exciting thought. But what makes welding so special? Why did I pick this as a serious career path and not just keep it as a fun hobby? I choose this for two main reasons. One, because I love doing it. It's as simple as that. The ability to form the metal just how you want makes it a fun and challenging process. And two, I want to help create a solution for the unfortunate situation that we have of not having enough qualified welders to fill the needs of the world. Welding has not been a popular career option for young people like me for many years. But why the shortage, and what are the consequences if it isn't solved? With the rise of new industries offering more lucrative job opportunities, young people have been drawn to them. Additionally, the unfortunate thing is that there's been a lot of misinformation surrounding the welding salaries and job opportunities in the industry, leading to a negative perception of the profession. I feel I'm very blessed to have access to the tools and machines to discover how much fun I would have, as well as discover my passion in welding. In today's world, many young men and women miss out on the opportunity to learn these skills like welding and just building overall. These valuable skills not only teach how to work with their hands, but also instill important qualities such as hard work, grit, problem-solving skills, and the understanding that math is an essential part of the real world. All things I was able to learn throughout my experience. Sadly, the absence of these creative outlets has been taken over by mind-numbing entertainment. This has caused many young people to miss out on the lessons that come with being creative with their hands. But now, imagine a world where young boys and girls have all of the resources they need to create whatever their minds can dream up. The possibilities would be endless, and the knowledge they could gain would be immeasurable. As I pondered this issue, I realized this is my true calling. I want to help children develop their creativity and problem-solving skills by providing them with expensive tools and potentially dangerous ones. To achieve this goal, I will start the Wandering Workshop. This organization will be dedicated to equipping young kids with the tools they need to explore their imaginations and build amazing things. This will help make the trade arts available to as many young men and women as possible. This gives young people something meaningful to do with their time that isn't just screens. What we'll need to do is have trailers filled with all sorts of tools and equipment that they can use to unleash their creativity on the world. These tools will be used to make amazing projects. Some of these tools include things like chop saws, table saws, orbital sanders, hammers, nails, drills, screws, screwdrivers, and many other tools that I won't bore you with listing. Giving these tools to the next generation is another step closer to making the next generation a more creative and innovative one. By doing this, the things you can learn in the Wandering Workshop wouldn't be confined to the dark corners of high school shop, but available for all ages to build and create together. This will empower the next generation of innovators and problem solvers by giving them the tools they need to succeed in a rapidly changing world. But what makes the Wandering Workshop different from any other traditional shop class? Let me explain. This program is specifically designed for small, non-traditional schools that are unable to provide a full shop, meaning that young learners will have the access to a unique blend of creative learning as well as leadership development skills. Through hands-on projects and collaborative activities, students will learn how to think critically and solve problems creatively. The idea is something I believe will change the world. But what's it going to take to get there? It's going to take a lot of work and someone qualified to lead this charge. Not just a welder and creator, but also a successful businessman. For the past little bit, you've heard me talk about the end goal. But what needs to be done to get there? For this to happen, I need a plethora of resources. These resources include connections, funds, and knowledge. Connections, so I can create a team of master tradesmen to be guides for the kids at the Wandering Workshop. Funds, for the tools and physical equipment, and knowledge, for me to progress my knowledge and become a successful welder to help the kids and create this Wandering Workshop. What makes me qualified to do this? Well, for the past 6 years of my hero's journey, I've had the privilege of attending Acton Leadership Academy. In those 6 years, they have been wonderfully challenging and have fostered tremendous growth in me. During this time, I've had the opportunity to grow in grit, hard work, leadership, mindset, and even time management. Though I will continue to work on these traits for the rest of my life, as proven by my growth I've accomplished over this past year in my Launchpad studio. I've become more accountable to my peers, taking greater ownership of my education, and learned to manage my time even more effectively in just this past year. This is the reason I can do it. As mentioned earlier, my long-term goal is to establish a successful welding business and create the Wandering Workshop. However, I need to enhance my welding skills to achieve this goal. Although I've been self-taught so far, I realize I have much to learn. Therefore, I need a teacher and mentor to guide me in the right direction in the industry research. In my research, I found Lone Star College welding classes, which offers over 300 hours of training in 4 distinct types of welding. These include shielded metal arc welding, gas tungsten welding, and shielded metal pipe welding. The cost of the course amounts to $7,000. By obtaining this certificate from the course, I can take my welding career to the next level towards my dream of establishing my business, and I'm eager to start soon to start as soon as possible and not waste any time. I promise to attend and complete this course with excellence and have my certificate earned by this time next year. I also promise to enroll for the course by April 10th this year and continue learning and interviewing 10 more welders throughout this year. But I also want to give back. When I become a successful businessman and welder, I still plan to work closely with Acton schools as a mentor and a helpful resource for people in the position I'm in now. As I continue to be a lifelong learner and grow in grit and determination and integrity, I want to leave you with a quote, and if you don't remember anything from my talk other than this, I would still consider it a success. Tucker Carlson once said, "Anything made by our hands is the purest expression of our creativity." Thank you. And real quick, we will have a 2-minute intermission in which we will have a video, and then after which we'll be able to hear from Connor McLean.
The Navy SEALs are one of the highest performing organizations on the planet. And a former Navy SEAL was asked, who makes it through BUDS? Who makes it through the selection process to become a SEAL? And he said, I can't tell you who gets through, who makes it, but I can tell you the kind of people who don't make it. He said the star college athletes that never have been really tested to the core of their being, none of them make it through. He said the preening leaders who like to delegate everything, none of them make it through. He said the big tough guys that come in with huge muscles, covered in tattoos, who want to prove to everyone how tough they are, none of them make it through. He said some of the guys that make it through are skinny and scrawny. He said some of the guys who make it through, you will see them shivering out of fear. He said, but every single one of them who makes it through, when they're emotionally exhausted, when they're physically exhausted, some way, somehow, they're able to dig down deep inside themselves to find the energy to help the person next to them. Service. Service. Giving to another, having their back, is what makes the highest performing teams in the world. Not their strength and not their intelligence. It's their willingness to be there for each other.
Come on back in. Connor is going to welcome up Connor McLean.
This isn't how a story ends, and I know you can be mine. When you're on that stage, oh, I let you sing away. 'cause I know you'll always be forever, always mine, forever, always mine. What you just heard was the first chorus from the first song I ever wrote. It's called Why Can't We Be Friends, and it started one of the most important pursuits of my life. When I was a kid, my dad played the music from bands like Depeche Mode, Erasure, The Cure, and other outdated bands. I guess I grew up listening to old people's music. Or new wave if you want to get specific. I didn't understand music theory concepts. All I knew was that it made me feel like flinging my head from side to side. So that's what I did. Anytime we would play music in the car or at home, I would hold on to something and whip my head back and forth to the beat with dramatic gusto until I was too dizzy. And no, I wasn't aware of head injuries. One day, my parents decided to throw me into piano lessons, which I ended up hating and also appreciating. Then, after, my sister decided to learn the ukulele, which inspired me to also learn it by using her ukulele. Saying she was peeved would be an understatement. I've now taught myself how to play 6 different instruments, all of these. And after learning ukulele, I wrote my first song, which is what you just heard. I wrote the whole song in about 2 hours for a school project that was due the next day. That was when I realized my potential in music. Right around this time, I got fascinated by the idea that music manipulates the spirit, the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind. The idea is that music affects you no matter what, even if you're unaware of it. In fact, you usually are unaware of it. It changes the way you feel, speak, and act, even the way you think. This has happened to me personally. At one point, I started listening to music that didn't share good messages. It had profane language, was grungy and dark. I started listening to it because it was mainstream music, and everyone listened to it. That music made me feel hopeless, and my heart slowly decayed under the music that had subjects like drugs, sex, and violence. I slowly slipped out of this, though. With my family's help, I started listening to happier music that had me feeling better than ever before. That was when I decided that I only wanted to write music that shared light and goodness so as not to affect people negatively unintentionally. Well, 2 to 3 songs later, I decided to start releasing my music on streaming platforms. I did this by producing in the home studio my father built. I've slowly but surely gotten better at production, and since my first songs, I've written and produced 2 albums with 17 songs. I've also released these on all the major platforms, including Apple Music and Spotify, and you can find me on any other platforms right now. Now, this has me thinking. Imagine a world where... Imagine this. 4 steps to create a new world. Just 4 steps to change things for the better. That might sound too good to be true, but it is true. And here are the steps. Imagine a new world that is supported by positive mainstream music. A world where every new tune you hear on the radio is not only good, but also full of the hope and goodness that we humans should share with each other. Where the music you hear is written by positive role models. My big goal to get there is to create my own record label. I plan to be well known and build a team so I can create a label that supports the artists by taking care of them, their families, and promoting them. In return, I will ask for a nominal percentage of their income, and finally, I will ask that they always try and create music that is uplifting and good. I will do this with the artists that my team and I feel have the potential to become the most successful in their chosen genre. This will hopefully affect generations to come by making the music industry a place that gives light to the world. You might be asking, what makes me different from any of the others? To answer your question, I believe I have the drive and determination to spread the word. I know what I want, and I know what I'm about. But I'm not perfect. I'll never be, but I know what will get me one step closer to not only perfection, but also my final goal. And that is practice. The phrase practice makes perfect is not an exaggeration. I bet you're wondering what practicing for these things looks like. It looks like producing my own and other people's music at a school I'm going to. It looks like writing album after album for more experience. It looks like practicing, performing, and putting on live shows to learn the ropes and make the best shows possible. It looks like releasing daily videos on social media to build a following, grinding day after day, practice, practice, practice. Now, I've been practicing these things for 4 years, but my efficiency is lacking for one reason and one reason only. As of right now, I can only do the work I need to in one place, at my house, even though I spend most of my time outside of my house. In fact, 5 days out of the week, I spend 8 hours of my day at a school that just so happens to let me work on my music during school hours, which is amazing. But alas, I'm limited to a single space, so no can do. Unless you help me out. I'm asking for the funds to build a mobile studio, equipment that I could carry in a backpack anywhere I go so I can continue to practice, practice, practice. Here is exactly what I need and how much it will cost. Again, this is not only for functionality, but also for efficiency. First, I'll need a digital audio workstation. This is the software that will run everything that I need it to. This one is called Logic Pro, and it's an industry standard. Secondly, I'll need some way to connect all the equipment with each other. I will do this by using an audio interface which makes all of the controls and connections easy to manipulate. Next, I have to be able to record my voice, so after researching, the SM7B is the perfect mic for recording the kind of vocals I record. The stand is so I don't have to hold the mic all the time. I've also included wireless lavalier mics, which will help me to create videos for my social media and other things. A USB hub is pretty self-explanatory. I will have the computer connected to a lot of different cables, so I have to expand the amount of inputs on the computer. USB, HDMI, USB-C, etc. You might be wondering, or a bit confused looking at the plugins section. Plugins are pieces of software that are separate from the DAW, or the digital audio workstation. They're kind of like add-ons that boost efficiency and sometimes even give you new capabilities. All of the plugins I've listed up here will affect the quality and efficiency of my mixing. Now, I need a computer. The one I've chosen is a MacBook Pro. I know that it's expensive, but in order to run everything that you see here and more, I need the horsepower that this computer provides. Also, it can fit in a backpack along with everything else here. I'll use the money for a pair of high-quality headphones so I can hear all the nuances of my mix so I can change things on the fly wherever I am in the world. I'll also need a cable to connect the mic to the interface so I can actually record, and finally, a looper pedal. I am super excited about this looper pedal. This pedal has a huge range of features that will help me with my guitar playing and my live performances. What it does is it loops what I play real time so I can be a one-man band. Performing is something I definitely need to improve on, and this will help me do just that. That all totals to exactly $5,018.75. That's a lot of money. I suppose if I started working minimum wage for 40 hours a week, I could make it. But that would take months. That's valuable time being spent away from music. I could use that time to make something amazing. I could use it to practice, practice, practice. Not only that, but there are doors that are time sensitive and will close if I don't receive the equipment in a timely manner. That's why getting this money would be an incredible gift that would help me move forward. Speaking of moving forward, let's look forward to the future for just a moment. After receiving this incredible gift, what do I promise to give back? I can't just take and not give. Well, I'm glad you asked. Firstly, I plan to do 5 shows around my area using these tools to practice for doing big shows in the future. This will be an incredible learning experience, and not only that, I hope it will be enjoyable for everyone who listens. That's why I'm inviting each of you to come hang out and jam with me. Here is a picture of the flyer for my first concert of the 5. Tickets will be $10 at the front, and all the proceeds will go towards helping me support a charity that I've become super passionate about. Secondly, I plan on writing, producing, and releasing 2 more albums just this year. That is 22 more songs. The equipment I am asking for will help incredibly with production, as I will be able to work on my music anywhere I go. You can find all of my music under my name, and if you want to know when they're out, you can follow me on my Instagram. Now, how do you know I'll deliver? Well, my past achievements should prove that to you. This is my dream. This is what I choose to do for the rest of my life. The things I've listed here are practice, practice, practice. Practicing for the future. The future. This is my final goal. The goal will define my legacy and hopefully change the world. You can be a part of that legacy. Support me, you support the future, and change the world. Thank you. Next up, we'll hear a talk from Claire Blackwelder.
Picture this. 8-year-old me, screaming and crying, standing over a freshly cooked pizza on the floor. What happened? We had just moved into our new house, and I wanted to help my parents by making dinner. I didn't really know how to cook anything at this point, so I decided to make frozen pizzas. But here's where things took a turn. As I reached into the oven to get the pizzas out, I accidentally put my arm directly on the oven's heating element. As y'all can imagine, 450 degrees of direct heat on bare skin doesn't feel too hot. Well, it does, but you know. At that moment, all I wanted was the comfort of my parents. At that moment, it was my dad who stepped in, making everything okay. With a steady hand and a comforting smile, he tended to my burns. And thanks to his care, those burns faded into mere memories within a few weeks. But the lessons they imparted, those have stuck with me ever since. You see, that experience taught me more than just the importance of oven mitts. It instilled in me a profound desire to bring the same comfort, peace, and reassurance to those in need, to really, truly make a difference in their lives. Ever since that moment standing there in the kitchen, I've dreamed of being a nurse. Because of that, I've taken every opportunity to help others and provide relief. As a kid, whenever my family members got sick, I would dress up as a nurse, paper hat and all, and stay by their side, doing anything I could to make them more comfortable. I practiced this gift of caretaking many times throughout the years, and developed skills in medicine through many quests and projects. Finally, in the beginning of this school year, I was ready to step up in an even bigger and more impactful way. I created and took on the role of health and safety captain, or in other words, school nurse. I had many tasks in this role, including gathering and organizing first aid supplies, restocking first aid kits, planning and running fire drills, responding to all injuries and accidents on the campus, and training younger scholars to develop their first aid skills as well. It might sound strange, but when there's an emergency situation, I'm able to feel calm and in flow. It simply feels natural for me to help others and share my talents. Through practice and training, I've developed many skills, including communication and acting well under pressure. Being able to turn these situations of hurt and sadness around has brought me a sense of fulfillment and a closer connection to those that I serve. All of these many experiences have led me to a desire to pursue emergency medicine, specifically emergency nursing and life flight. This is my calling, a big opportunity that will let me make a direct and immediate impact on saving lives all over the world. But first, there are many steps that I need to take, including completing my last year of high school, getting my nursing degree and license, and gaining critical care experience in an ER and ICU. But just like that determined little girl who bandaged up all the cousins, siblings, and elementary students at school, I'm simply not willing to wait 10 years to be truly making a difference. Not only do I have a burning desire to start, but I know that through my initiative and your help, I'm able to have a great impact right now. So, what's the first step to accomplishing this? What's my first great adventure? I decided that the best thing I could do is create a big project, something that I would do right now to have an impact on the world and use my skill and passion to serve others. During my NGA research, I came across an opportunity to do exactly that. In the mountains of the western region of Guatemala, there's a city full of beautiful children and families in need, struggling with many issues, including malnutrition, lack of access to education, and poverty. Currently, Guatemala has the highest percentage of chronic malnutrition in Latin America and the 5th highest in the world. Public education is also not free, and registration fees, materials, and uniforms can cost more than half of a family's annual income. These expenses are a real burden on poor families in the area, and lead to only 3 in 10 children graduating from the 6th grade. And nationwide, 54% of Guatemalans live in poverty, 13% of whom live under $2.15 a day. All of these statistics go to show that there are many dire needs in this area. What if with some great effort and a lot of heart, we were able to provide for the medical and educational needs of these children and families? What if we could change their lives? Learning of these needs inspired me to action, and I knew that I had to do something to help. But I felt stuck. How was I, a 16-year-old girl in a completely different country, going to actually make a difference? Although I was feeling discouraged, I continued to work hard and make progress on this plan. I developed a 2-step plan to help me move forward. Phase 1 is to provide school and other essential supplies for children and families in Xela, Guatemala. And Phase 2 is to actually go there on a medical service trip and assist professionals in providing medical care to communities in great need. Just recently, I found 2 different organizations in Xela that have already done so much for the communities that they serve. They are a wonderful refuge for children and families in need, but in order for them to continue their cause, there are many supplies that they can use. I took this as a call to action and reached out to the directors of both of these organizations. Since then, I've been working with them through many emails, calls, and Zoom meetings to create a detailed action plan and a specific list of necessities. This has been a big step in moving forward, and I've now made concrete promises to help these people. Our goal is to provide 300 backpacks filled with essential supplies for the children in the community. I will work to gather what's needed and ship it to these organizations so they can distribute these supplies to the families in most need. The supplies that are needed include many things, like backpacks, notebooks, pencils, erasers, sharpeners, pens, and many more things listed on the screen here. But I don't just want to ship off boxes and call it done. I want to do even more. That is why I developed Phase 2 of this plan, to go on a medical mission trip to Guatemala and share my gift of healing with those in these communities. Luckily, I've already found a reputable organization to go on this mission with. We will be doing many things, including service projects to improve the knowledge and health of villages in the area. I will be visiting different medical facilities and hospitals, shadowing and assisting local doctors, running public health clinics, and providing much needed care to communities who otherwise wouldn't have access to it. I knew from the very beginning of this project that these are both huge goals, but I know that I can get it done. Through my apprenticeships and time at Acton, I've learned to organize big projects, step up as a leader, and work with many people. I've practiced my networking skills through interviews, and I have this wonderful community, including all of you, who want to see me succeed. And as mentioned, I've been working as the safety captain at my school, caring for many medical needs that have included nerve pain, broken bones, loss of consciousness, large cuts, and much, much more, which has prepared me even further and given me a ton of medical experience. So, what do I need to make this a reality? That is where you guys come into play. First off, I need all of your support in gathering the school supplies to bring with me. We need to get enough of the materials listed before to fill 300 backpacks, which won't be easy. The estimated cost for this is around $1,900. So any donations of your time, materials, connections, or money to cover the cost would be greatly beneficial to my cause. I've created an online portal where you can provide the support in any way available to you. I'm asking each and every one of you in the audience for 2 things. First, take a few minutes, scan this code, and fill out this form. And second, share my message with your community so we can gather enough support to truly change the world. Obviously, I'm not just asking you guys to do all the work. I've already started saving my own money to go towards these costs, and I've reached out to different businesses and organizations to see if they'd be willing to donate supplies in bulk. I am fully committed to this project, and I will do whatever it takes to fulfill my promise. I would also like to make one more ask, specifically to the NGA board. A mission trip like the one I've described is not cheap. In order for me to answer this call to adventure, I need your help. The trip expenses add up to a total of $6,024, and the deadline is approaching very soon. There are only 16 spots left on this trip, and the payment deadline is only 6 weeks away. Being able to go on this trip will be a life-changing opportunity for me to step outside my own little world and to share my gifts and talents with those in great need. But I'll be focusing all my efforts on completing Phase 1 of this plan for the next 4 months. Please invest in me and help me cover the cost of the trip so that I can have twice the impact on these children's lives than I could by myself. In return, I promise a few things. I promise to complete this mission and go on the trip and deliver the backpacks to the 300 children waiting there in Shela by July 20th, 2024. And I promise to pass on the knowledge and gifts that have been given to me by helping other young people who are interested in making a similar impact on the world. I will offer them mentorship, resources, and support so that they can fulfill their callings. And finally, I want to thank you all and make one final promise: to persevere in the face of challenges, to face life's ups and downs with courage and grit, ultimately achieving not only these goals, but many more to follow. By committing to this project, I've just entered a hero's journey, and I know that I will not only better myself, but those all around in Houston and Guatemala. At the close of this talk, I would like to invite you all to do the same. Find a call to adventure, something that inspires you to bring more light, goodness, and joy into the world, and answer that call. Join me in being a world changer. Thank you. Next, you will all hear from Ethan Blackwelder.
If only life could be this great all the time. I said this to myself as I sat on the roof looking at a gorgeous Montana sunset. The strong scent of pine from the surrounding forest mixed with a hint of wood smoke and filled my lungs, and the forest echoed with the chirping of birds. You could not describe a more perfect moment, but my mind was elsewhere. All I could think about was what I had just accomplished. In the last 3 weeks, I had traveled more than 2,000 miles with my father and grandfather to assist in the construction of 2 buildings. The first, a multi-million-dollar mansion in Alpine, and the second, a log cabin in the backwoods of Montana. It was the most exerting and exhilarating 3 weeks of my life. Each day was spent working from sunrise to sunset. However, seeing the fruits of our labor made all the work feel like fun. And the joy and satisfaction that it brought was more than any sunset could bring. Before this trip, like every teenager does, I felt lost and out of control. But through the hard work and suffering I encountered, I reignited my fire and passion for life. I didn't stop there. I used that fire and fed it with good books and mentors. One of my favorites was Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. This book taught me to approach life with the mindset that everything that happens is my responsibility, whether it was my own fault or something that I didn't cause. I wasn't perfect at it, but as I practiced taking extreme ownership, I rapidly grew my confidence and control in life. Today, I choose to take ownership of everything that happens in life, both good and bad, which has given me the power to change it and affect the world around me. Because I took ownership for my life, I became a better student and my natural leadership capabilities were enhanced. This meant that I was offered the position of CEO in my studio, which meant that I was now not only responsible for my own learning, but was responsible for 11 other high schoolers to find our callings and change the world. We set up scorecards, made and followed deadlines, and began running weekly meetings to ensure we hit our targets. I also began to have one-on-one meetings to help provide additional resources and ensure success. I also started to plan my future and look into potential careers. After much fruitless searching, my most trusted and successful mentor recommended that I check out construction management. Because of my love of hard work and previous construction experience, paired with the new leadership lessons I had learned, I knew that I had found my calling. However, I ran into a roadblock that nearly halted me in my path. I figured out that there was only 2 ways into construction management. The first, to work as an apprentice and to one day be offered a leadership position, or the second, to apply for and get accepted to college with a good program. The problem is that both paths leave someone lacking crucial experiences and skills needed to lead the other. As I personally debated which path to take, I decided to interview construction managers to ask them, amongst other questions, which path I should take. What surprised me was that almost everyone recommended that I pursue college, whilst also working a construction job in my off time. Because of the college degree, I would be able to have access to a higher salary and work at bigger companies. And while I understood their advice, I was not satisfied with the solution. I dreamed of a path of education that would allow a young guy like me, interested in the entrepreneurial aspect of construction, to fast track his way into the industry. What if in this world I could pay for the cost of my training and earn money through hands-on work as a tradesman? It would be a win-win for the company and the up-and-coming construction manager. This program would be focused on building the best possible leaders because they would not only receive excellent on-the-job technical training, but would also acquire all the management and leadership skills needed to succeed in their job and life. So, I embraced the principle of extreme ownership and decided that I would personally create a program like this to help other young men to follow me. I began by writing a list of what skills and credentials would be necessary to make such a revolutionary program like this a success. I found that for the program to be successful, it would take a leader with 3 distinct skill sets and qualifications. The first, the ability to teach and hold others accountable. Second, someone who loves hard work and empowering others. And third, a successful construction company to back and provide opportunities to these young men. I know that I can get it done because not only do I have first-hand experience with this dilemma, but I also feel passionate about the need for great leaders in the world. I have been working for the past several years to master the first 2 requirements and have already started to master the third. I have built a plan for my own construction company and started implementing our first 2 projects, 2 duplexes to be built in the Salt Lake area. I bet you're wondering, how in the world does a 17-year-old plan to not only build a construction company, but take on an industry and challenge the process? That's a great question. I understand that this is no small undertaking and that it will require extreme amount of change and action. However, I know that I am capable of completing this project because when you combined my unique blend of grit, work experience, leadership training, and unwavering optimism, it creates an unstoppable force. I don't hesitate when I'm faced with problems. I embrace them. I'm thankful for them because I recognize it's an experience to learn and grow. I create a new plan, find mentors, and obtain the resources that I need to overcome any problem. Speaking of resources, I have already found an investment partner, an up-and-coming architect, and a master builder with over 25 years of experience to aid me on this journey. Together, we have built a 5-step plan, and to give a broad overview, I'll share with that today. Step 1 is to find a minimum of 10,000 square feet of land for sale around $200,000 and place it under contract. Step 2 is to complete due diligence and rezone if necessary. Step 3 is to obtain permits and close on the land. Step 4 is then to use that as collateral to build the 2 units. And then step 5, manage and build the entire project with the aid of my mentor and doing as much of the construction myself to gain valuable experience and to keep costs down. Based on initial financial projections, this project will turn a profit of 40%. The value of the completed project is estimated at $1.35 million, with $500,000 in profit. But more important than the monetary reward is the massive amount of experience and skills that I will have gained and will set me apart in the industry, giving me even more opportunities to grow my skill sets in management and construction. And most importantly, I will have gained the first step towards obtaining the last requirement needed to open this path for young men to follow. But I need your help. To start my first project, I need to save $200,000. To begin, which could take me around 3 years to make if I save every penny, live very frugally, while also attending college and starting a family. I can do this and will, but with your help, I believe that I can start right now. Would you be willing to invest in me for an amount not to exceed $50,000? But before you ask, I want you to know that I am 100% committed to the completion of this project. I am going to work for your help, and I plan to prove it. I have created a way to ensure that your investment would not be in vain, as the gift would be structured in the following way. For every $3 that I earn and save towards the initial down payment, will you match it with $1? Additionally, I want to ensure continued contact and mentorship from those who have succeeded in the industry by completing interviews and writing lessons learned from each one. Would you be willing to sponsor my interviews with $75 for each one that I complete with a written lessons learned? In return, I promise to provide a detailed plan with specific targets and milestones ready before any of the money is spent. I also promise that the plan and full project pitch will be evaluated and approved by 3 experienced construction managers before started. Additionally, I promise that all of the profit I make will be reinvested into growing the company to provide new opportunities and bring up other young men in a path to success without being stuck in the same 2 undesirable choices that I'm experiencing. And finally, I want to say thank you and make one last promise that I will always pay it forward and help those who come behind me. I will make every decision in business and life with honesty and integrity. Thank you, and God bless.
Okay, great job. Let's give the first 6 another round of applause. Awesome. We've made it halfway through. It's time for intermission. We'll see you back here in 10 minutes. This has been an incredible event so far. The first 6 did so amazing. So excited for the next 6. And I'd like to welcome up on the stage Walker Alexander.
Once upon a time, there were 2 13-year-old boys who wanted to make money at school. Every day, they dreamt of how to make this dream a reality and came up with a plan to sell snow cones. They wondered, how can we make the simple idea of selling snow cones better? They wondered, how can we set ourselves apart from just another snow cone business? How can we improve the customer experience? One day, they had the idea of making an online snow cone ordering website. This system would allow customers to easily order during any time of the day and pick up their orders during lunch. They imagined the sales pitch of scoopsandstuff.com. Easy to use, customer experience, and fast quality orders would all be the focus of their business. But how would they build the incredible website? Luckily, they didn't have to look far. Turns out, I was one of the kids, and for the last 2 years, I had been learning to code random projects. Because of that, I found that by taking my years of experience, I could research and teach myself how to make a full-scale web server from scratch. So I taught myself how to make the backend, database structure, and the front end. Turns out, making a web server from scratch is not easy. I had never heard of a database or what HTTP request meant at the time, and everything was new. It took me a couple months to complete a simple web server with a full backend, front-end, and database communication. The skills and knowledge I learned from that experience were so much more valuable than a bit of money. Because of that, I saw things differently. I was now able to understand what went into making website and application. I understood how they worked on a technical level and was able to understand how much potential there was for coding. A couple months later, I was looking up domain names for fun and eventually searched for the name Gingy.org. Having no idea or plan what I was going to use it for, I impulsively bought it. Only a few minutes later, on the very same day, I had the first idea of improving my school's administration software, Journey Tracker, a software that was designed for Acton. As a daily user, I found that it lacked efficiency and features. I hadn't thought about it until that moment, but suddenly, it seemed that I should build something to fill Journey Tracker's gaps. That is how the mission of Gingy.org started. At Gingy, we free up time for learners to be leaders by removing redundancy and inefficiency. So, what is Gingy.org? In short, it is a new and improved version of Journey Tracker. Currently, Journey Tracker is not enough for our school. We have complex systems in place for working around problems created by the lack of features in Journey Tracker. Gingy.org, on the other hand, is a simple, user-focused, modern approach to school administration software that is designed specifically for Acton Academy, a school that is run by the students themselves. Acton students need a much different kind of administration system rather than traditional models ran by adult administrators. Acton students also need a much different kind, Acton students need a flexible platform that does everything from tracking work to tracking what snacks can be purchased every week. Gingy.org empowers the learners themselves to manage their work and tasks. An example is a very complex system by nature, which is auditing schoolwork. All of auditing is done externally in spreadsheets and documents instead of inside one piece of software. Another example of this is submitting work through a mix of documents in Journey Tracker. Mixing the two turns checking work into struggling with a giant spider web of links and documents. At Gingy, we put in the time and effort to ensure excellence so that Acton scholars have the tools they need to change the world. What if this dream became a reality? What if my school and all other schools no longer had to struggle with tedious systems? Not only would Gingy.org improve all the systems in place, but it also open the doors for any scholar to add their ideas and features by sending them directly to the development team. Nearly anything you can imagine can be integrated into Gingy.org. Those ideas and feedback from schools around the globe are the #1 priority when it comes to the development of Gingy.org. To develop this application, there will need to be a leader who understands the intricate systems of a thriving Acton class, as well as someone who has the skills necessary to create and lead the ongoing development. As some of you may know, the needs of Acton classes changes rapidly, and we need a program and leader that can adapt and keep up with the pace of the constant changes. I happen to know someone who might just fit the job description. I can get it done because I've been at Acton for almost 4 years and have served in many leadership positions, struggling with creating and managing systems. On top of the experience in Acton, I've spent countless hours discovering and teaching myself how to become a full-stack developer to make this dream a reality. I've already been developing this application for over 400 hours in the past year and a half. Throughout that time, I've compiled a list of over 50 new ideas and features from my experiences in an Acton school. I've taught myself skills such as back-end development using Express.js and Node.js, database architecture using MySQL and a Linux server, and front-end development using jQuery, HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. I'll bet you might still be wondering, why exactly we need this tool when there is an existing application? Why replace it entirely? How necessary is it really to create a whole new application for a group of schools that are relatively new and pretty small compared to traditional schools? Well, the growth of the Acton model is world-changing, and the world-changing learners there desperately need a system that better supports their learning. If we are truly going to make an impact on the next generation of learners, we need to ensure that Acton scholars have access to efficient and effective ways of recording and tracking their work. We need efficiency that matches the growth of Acton schools. Let me tell you a story that details the true need for Gingy.org. Imagine this. You have just turned in all your work that was due. The upcoming week will be full of fun and enjoyable activities. However, another scholar has just turned in their work as well and needs you to check it. Even worse, the deadline for work being checked and approved is 3 hours from now. So reluctantly, you get to work. You open link after link, juggling over 10 tabs at once, and finally, after a brutal 30 minutes, you have checked 1 out of 4 badges. Groaning, you continue this process in addition to going back and forth with the scholar on what needs to be fixed and answering questions about what you found wrong. What if, instead of juggling 10 tabs, spending half an hour checking a single badge, and dealing with other scholars asking you questions about feedback, it was all done inside of Gingy.org? What if there were built-in feedback sections for detailed, straight-to-the-point approvals? Now, I need your help because I can't do this alone. Since this application has so many capabilities, developing it as a solo developer would take hundreds, if not thousands of hours, and many months of full-time development on top of the time I've already committed. Can you help me put together and hire a team? I need a team of 2 JavaScript full-stack web developers who are willing to jump headfirst into this project with me. I need developers who are willing to struggle alongside me as I learn from first-hand experience how to lead a development team. In order to create an excellent tool for all Actons that lives up to the hype, I will need work from people who truly care about the mission of Acton in reforming education. Any contacts of people who would be excited about helping me with this project would be tremendously appreciated. For anyone interested in helping, I will have a detailed plan for development along with a spot for contact information at gingy.org/team. I will also need funding for each member of the team in the form of a $55 per hour lump sum after each successful update that my team and I complete with excellence. Before each update, I will define what will be in the update along with a clear definition of completion. In return for funding, I promise to communicate with any team members immediately so that I can have a team assembled and ready to begin by May 24th, 2024, the last day of school, to begin development throughout the summer. In addition, I promise to deliver updates on time with accuracy and excellence, making feedback the #1 priority with adaptability throughout the development process. I also promise to cast the vision of Gingy.org to my team and the Acton network, to always strive for excellence through my development, and to lead the team with integrity and excellence. Lastly, I promise to use web development to help encourage problem-solving minds and aspiring developers across all Actons around the globe. And finally, I want to thank you all for your time and make one last promise, to always keep pushing forward throughout any challenges I face. Thank you. Next up, we have Darcy Darenthal.
Think of your favorite movie. Now think of your favorite character in that movie. Have they inspired you, made you laugh, or amazed you through their performance? You could be thinking of a stirring monologue from Samwise Gamgee to Frodo in the depths of Mordor, or when Ken changes Barbie's dream house to his own Mojo Dojo Casa house. I think we all can agree that movies have power and have the special ability to send a special message to the world. When I was in the 4th grade, I watched The Greatest Showman, probably 20 times within a week. I could recite the entire movie to you right now, but to spare your time, I won't. In movies, you have the opportunity to play a part while also being yourself. When I saw Zendaya's trapeze performance and the behind the scenes of her rehearsing, I knew that I wanted to experience that. After I watched that movie, I started going back to gymnastics so I could practice my skills and be just like her and be in a movie. My desire to act only got stronger whenever I attended my first community theater play, Little Women. It inspired me so much. The performers, the cues, the props, everything that came with it. I told my mom we had to go back and see it again, but unfortunately, I had seen the last show. So I decided that I was going to be in one. A couple months later, I was in my first show, Legally Blonde. And after that, I auditioned for Addams Family, which is when the thrill really started to kick in. After that, I was in Elf, The Little Mermaid, Music Man. I even performed at Disney World with class act stars on tour. And with each performance, my love for acting grew. Now, I didn't always get cast in plays that I auditioned for. And because of that, I learned that sometimes things don't go our way. But we can't fuss about it. We just have to keep looking for more opportunities, and I continue to study great actors and actresses and to seek out auditions. And what is a way that I could reach more people all over the world, share that same joy that I felt countless times through film? My family played a big role in expanding my creativity and love for storytelling. From a young age, my parents encouraged me and my siblings to explore our imaginations by making our own movies, plays, and encouraged us to explore lots of different hobbies. I have always had a passion for storytelling and filmmaking. Thanks to my parents' influence and support, I've been creating my own movies from a young age, sparking a creative journey that continues to shape who I am today. I would ask my mom to film me all the time so we could put it in a movie. I finally began believing that I could actually achieve this dream of being on the screen when my parents found an agency called Prestige Talent to help me work towards this dream. I had to audition for the opportunity to work with them, considering they can't accept everyone. The process of auditioning was that I had to memorize and perform a commercial, a Hershey's Kisses commercial, which I think I still remember. I give kisses everywhere. I give them at school, I give them at church, I even gave one to Jason on the front porch, and my dad had a total cow. But it's just chocolate. Say it with a kiss, with Hershey's Kisses. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that I still remember it. After auditioning, they got back to us saying that I was one of the few people to get into the program to receive training and coaching for future auditions. But these are all stories of my past. Now let's jump into a vision of the future that I hope will become a reality. Imagine this. A limo pulls up to the red carpet. People are waiting, cameras are ready, and who steps out? The kid you go to school with. You have arrived at the Red Carpet Club, a local TV and film studio for young aspiring actors. Premieres, awards, the whole shebang. Everything is provided for actors, for young aspiring actors who need help navigating the intimidating world of Hollywood. The intimidating world of Hollywood. This unique studio would help children who aspire to work in the film industry gain actual on-camera experience and grow their skills. I'll bet you are wondering, but Darcy, how do we make this happen? How do you plan on making this future reality? To make this happen, I first need to make a name for myself in the film acting industry. The only way to do that is to get an agent and coach who can guide me to auditions to gain experience and expertise so that I can change the world through inspiring media. This is one of the many things that I would do with my fame and influence. I would know how to guide and instruct children to achieve their acting dreams. If your child wanted to be a film actor, you would choose the Red Carpet Club because you know that the founder is Darcy Darenthal, well-known actress and trustworthy mentor to all upcoming actors. And what if anyone who is passionate about teaching the arts could open their own Red Carpet Club? This would give children everywhere the opportunity to experience actual TV and film acting, and they don't even have to live near LA to get it. The owners of each location would be given a group of contacts or trustworthy agents to refer their students who want to take their acting ambitions to the next level. I can get it done because, as I have said before, I have done extensive work in community theater and acting classes, and I can see what is missing for children who are passionate about film acting specifically. I have also worked with agencies and can see all the things that they could do better in helping youth achieve their dreams. I have made connections with people in the film industry to better understand how to break into it, to break into this industry that is sealed off from achievability. I have worked to develop character traits that you need to be successful as a film actor, and I'm ready to step into the next level and audition so that I can begin getting on-screen experience. In order to propel my film acting career, I need professional instruction to prepare for my auditions, as well as assistance in preparing my audition tapes so that they meet the industry standards and open a door to the future that I am so passionate about creating for myself. I am asking for $2,505 to pay for additional training with a professional film acting agency. This includes 10 hours of professional instruction, 3 hours of audition taping, 1 semester of weekly acting classes specifically for teens, and a week-long summer camp. In return, I promise to work hard to complete my first milestone of submitting 64 auditions. Why 64, you ask? What a random number. Well, when I was studying those who have been successful in film, I came across an interview of Bryce Dallas Howard saying that 64 is the number of audition an aspiring actor has before booking a job. So she promised herself that she would not let herself get discouraged until she hit 64. She booked her first job on the 48th. Even her agent asked her why she didn't give up, because most people give up on the 15th or the 10th. Now, she is a super successful actress, being in movies such as Argylle, Pete's Dragon, Jurassic World, Lady in the Water, and so much more. Ever since I heard that, I told myself the exact same thing. I will not let myself get discouraged and will continue to audition until I book a job. I also promise to continue to interview people as they make more connections in the film industry. I will persevere and keep interviewing and learning from people who have more experience than me. And I promise to do the classes and send out 2 auditions each week to possible acting jobs, both locally and throughout the country. And finally, I want to thank you and make one last promise: to be a moral example to all upcoming actors, to let young aspiring actors know that your dreams make you unique. If you give up on them, you're throwing away an opportunity. And if it doesn't work out at first, that's an opportunity to learn and grow. If a door is closed, you can always find another way around that roadblock. There's another great opportunity waiting for you out there. Thank you so very much. And next up, Isaac Richmond.
Just gonna make sure this is on. Anyway. Hello, everyone. My name is Isaac Richmond, and this is my great adventure. The Odyssey, The Alchemist, and The Lord of the Rings. What do all of these have in common? The answer is that all of these depict a great adventure. From a Greek hero who embarks on a perilous journey home, to a story about 2 short guys returning stolen jewelry. Every single one of these stories tells captivating stories of ordinary people who took on the unknown in a fierce battle, and came out the other side a completely different person. Now, don't be fooled into believing that a hero's journey is just a work of fiction, sometimes referred to as a calling, other times a great adventure. A hero's journey remains a very real thing. Every single person here has or will be called to take on a great adventure of their own.
The only question is whether or not you will answer that call. My great adventure is about changing the world through engineering. How have engineers changed our world? A few examples are Nikola Tesla and the Wright brothers. What would the world look like without just one of these people? Let's just take a look at what the world would look like without the Wright brothers. Imagine that you want to take a vacation to, let's say, Hawaii with your family. Right now, you hop on a plane, and in 10 hours, you're there. Now take away the plane. How do you get there? You have to take a boat, and are now looking at 3 to 4 days. Big difference. Now, imagine a world without AC electricity. Without AC electricity, our modern world would not exist. Computers, the internet, satellites, telecommunications, and more. None of it would be here without alternating current. Flash forward to today. We are watching the world change right in front of our eyes. From humanoid robots, artificial intelligence, drones, autonomous vehicles, reusable rocket advanced propulsion systems, and more. As a witness of this technological growth, my great adventure is about following the path of the great visionaries and change the world as they did. As a little boy, I had no desire to change the world. All I could think about were Legos and dinosaurs. It all started when I was 8 years old, and my parents let me watch Iron Man for the first time, as long as I promised that I was not going to get scared. However, within the first 20 minutes, I was already covering my hands and my eyes because I was too terrified. Still, from the little that I could see between my fingers, I was immediately hooked. Over the next 2 hours, I went from peeking out of my hands in terror to making sounds with my hands and pretending to be like Iron Man. From then on, I wanted to become just like Iron Man. Unfortunately, 8-year-old Isaac didn't understand that making sounds with your hands doesn't exactly make you cool, especially if you do it at school. What followed was relentless mockery by all of the big kids at school, which very quickly made me not want to become Iron Man. Despite that, I had still uncovered a brand new world completely unknown to me before, the world of engineering, a world that I aimed to immerse myself in as much as possible. As time passed, I found myself quietly tagging along with my grandfather, always eager to lend a helping hand in any way that I possibly could. Though at times I was definitely more of a hindrance than a helper. Whether it was tackling a broken pipe that I broke, or simply changing a light bulb, every opportunity felt like a gift. Each job, no matter how small, taught me something valuable, even if it was that my grandpa was extremely patient with me. I soaked up every lesson like a sponge, craving more knowledge with each passing day. Still, I held on to this belief that trying to create like Iron Man was nothing more than wishful thinking, especially for someone like me. 4 years later, when I was 12 years old, I caught sight of this man, Elon Musk. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Elon Musk, he is the CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, and Twitter, now known as X. It was during the rise of SpaceX, around the time that they made history by successfully landing the Falcon 9 rocket, the first ever orbital class booster landing. For those that don't know what that is, don't worry, I didn't either. After witnessing Elon Musk's incredible achievements, it was like a light bulb had gone off in my head. Here was a man that was everything that I had ever wanted to be. He was a semi-normal guy from humble beginnings that defied all odds to achieve the impossible. And in that moment, I realized that if he could do it, then so could I. So after pulling every single dollar out of my piggy bank, and yes, that is my piggy bank, I bought my first soldering iron and ventured into my grandpa's workshop to begin building. After hours of work and burning myself multiple times, I had finished my first project, a 4x4 LED matrix. Now, it was far from perfect, but it worked. Despite its rough appearance, its terrible cable management, and its extreme shock hazard, 12-year-old Isaac could not have cared less. This was the first thing that I had ever built, and it marked the beginning of my journey as a creator. At that moment, I couldn't have been more proud of anything else in the entire world. As years passed, I would continue building in my grandpa's workshop, working on becoming a better engineer. Now I am 16. I have continued to grow and sharpen my skills. My most recent project is a device that uses computer vision and LiDAR to track the speed and capture data on various objects. I have learned so much in the last 4 years, but there is still a lot that I can and need to learn. Right now, I see the next step in my adventure lies in robotics. Robotics is an area that I am admittedly weak in, but I have found that every single avenue that I do somehow leads back here. As of now, I am already enrolled in 2 summer college programs to increase my knowledge of robotics. One in computational linear algebra and the other in robotics perception. The problem that I find myself in is that robotics can be expensive and complicated. One small accident can be the difference between this and this, destroying all the hard work that you put into it. This means that you'll need to buy every single part all over again, making it all over again, which wastes both time and money. Speaking from experience, this is one of the worst feelings ever. But this is just a part of engineering. But what if it wasn't? What if there was a way around this? What if there was a way to learn 10 times faster with 1/10 of the mistakes? That is where I need your help. My ask is the funding to do the BWSI course by MIT. This is an in-person course that offers everything from lectures to design exercises, technical mentorships, project management activities, and so much more. It offers a wide variety of programs to choose from building a self-mapping car that uses LiDAR to navigate its way through mazes, to building a real CubeSat science mission. For 4 weeks, I would be waist-deep in all of this, learning every day and catapulting my skill forward. In total, this course is $5,000, including room, food, and the actual course itself. But why do I need this course? Courses like these allow people like me, people who want to make a difference in our world, to be surrounded by world-class teachers and instructors who know what they are doing and can assist you in realizing a mistake far before you make it. In addition, you are also surrounded by world-class students who are eager to push the boundaries of engineering. I want and need to learn as much as possible. If I have any desire to change the world, I need to know what the best in the world know. I have already applied to this course and made steps to getting my foot in the door. With your support, I will be equipped with the knowledge to not only continue my journey, but also help others with theirs, to pay forward, if you will, the gift that I was given. Engineering used to be something that I did. Now it's who I am. That is how I will know I will be able to get this done. This summer, if you asked me what I was going to do, it would be the same as any day, week, or month of the year: engineering. As we conclude here today, let us reflect on the notion of a hero's journey, a timeless narrative that transcends the pages of literature and manifests in our own lives. Each of us, at some point, will be called to embark on our own great adventure, to confront the unknown and to emerge transformed. It's not just a tale of fiction, it's a reality we all must face. For me, the great adventure is rooted in engineering, inspired by the remarkable innovators who have shaped our world, from Nikola Tesla to the Wright brothers, and now modern visionaries like Elon Musk. Their accomplishments fuel my aspirations to change the world through innovation. My promise is that I will achieve my great adventure. In the same way that people said, before the Wright brothers, we didn't have airplanes, before Nikola Tesla, we didn't have alternating current, and before Elon Musk, we didn't have self-landing rockets. So it will be the same for me. Before Isaac Richmond, we didn't have innovations and breakthroughs that reshaped our world. Together, let us embrace our own great adventures and leave our mark on history. Thank you. Next up, we're going to have a quick intermission, followed by Alex Hilcher.
It's 1950s, and the Air Force has a problem. They just invested heavily in new jet-powered aviation, with the assumption that they were going to get massive gains in performance from their pilots. But in fact, the opposite was happening. In one day, over 17 pilots crashed. And no one really knew why. They blamed the pilots, they blamed the flight instructors, and then they figured out it was the cockpit. They had built the cockpit around this idea of an average-sized pilot, as defined in the 1920s. They commissioned the largest study at the time of pilot body size to calculate a brand new average-sized pilot. But guess what they found? There actually was not even one single pilot that was average on the dimensions of size that mattered for cockpits. If you designed a cockpit on average, then it actually fit nobody. Once the Air Force figured that out, they banned the use of averages in design, created flexible cockpits, and performance soared. The parallel to education is pretty straightforward. We're still the only industry left that encourages designing to averages, whether it's textbooks, assessments. We even fix the pace and sequence that kids learn, all based on what we know about kids on average. So no wonder we have performance problems in education. But we also know the way forward. If instead we build educational environments to fit each individual, then we can expect the same kind of performance gains and expanded opportunity that the Air Force found.
Is it on? Okay, it is. So, there was once a young boy who was a little different from the rest of the people he was around. He was caring and wanted to help out wherever he could. And every day he would look for opportunities to help his mom out. And every day he would help clean up the house by cleaning up the tables, the floors, and sometimes when he was really young, trying his best to be the gunslinger of disinfectants by spraying everything in the house. Now, even though he was a source of some of the germs and disgusting mess, he would help clean up. When the boy was about 4 years old, his family moved into a new house where they had a giant dirt pile in the backyard that he played on every day. And every day he would need a bath after coming into the house completely covered in dirt or drenched from using the hose. Now, as this adventurous boy grew in size, he continued to try his best to do as he was told. And while he was doing this, he noticed that many people who did as they were told didn't love their life. They lived life in unhappy spirals that, should they continue, would end in depression. He also always wondered, why didn't they just go out and play? Why did they complain instead of taking action? As you may have guessed, that little boy is me. As I have grown, I've continued to observe and wonder what causes people to stay stuck and not progress towards personal growth. I always wondered this until one day my family and I read this book called The Power of Ted. In this book, I learned that everyone has the incredible power to create a fulfilling life that they love. The idea that every human could do this felt like a hidden superpower, a magical hack to turn any life, good or bad, into a life that was even better, one that was alive and thriving. Now, this hack is a little bit more simple than people might think. It's the ability to change your mindset from that of being a victim to being a creator, the creator of your own life. Because of this incredible idea, I started seeing a change in my life. I looked at things with a brand new perspective. I wanted to learn as much as I could from every experience I had. Instead of saying I had to do something or I have to, I'd say I get to do something. Because of that, I looked at everything like it was a learning experience. From the games I played and the books I read, they only had interest to me if I could learn something from it. Though, admittedly, I still failed at times, I would get back up, brush off the dust, and keep moving forward. I was determined to grow no matter what. Finally, as I was pondering and praying one day, it hit me. I realized the reason why people spiraled down into these depressive states. It was because they had a victim mindset. They hadn't yet learned how to use the power of their mindset. Though I realize now that it wasn't the things people did when they did as they were told, but it was their perspective on it, how they acted on it. Now, imagine this. A world where teens talk about how they love their school. They share their hopes and their dreams, and they love their lives. A world where they support one another with positive mindsets and are truly happy and looking forward to a future that they will soon create. It sounds like a utopia, doesn't it? A little too good to be true. But the key to creating this isn't that far away. What if it was really as simple as equipping teens with the powers and ideas from the book, The Power of Ted? What if the teens were aware of their victim mindsets and knew how to shift from a victim mindset to a creator's mindset? In order to do this, we'll need a way for teens worldwide, not just here in Texas or in Acton Academy, to learn about the victim mindset and the creator mindset. To do this, we'll need a force of young and passionate victim mindset squashers. Now, this would require some specialized training beyond reading the book, The Power of Ted. I know I can get this done because I've been studying the creator mindset for the past 4 years and have been working with my family and peers to overcome the victim mindset and become creators. I've been studying public speaking, psychology, business, and am passionate about making a real difference for the world of teens. I've also been collaborating with a friend at school to create a podcasting room so we can begin to gather and share these creator mindset stories. I've also interviewed the writer of the book, The Power of TED, David Emerald. I did this so then I could understand more about the mindsets and roles taught in The Power of TED. And I bet you're wondering, how does this actually work? What does TED stand for? I'm glad you asked. For this, the concepts are truly simple, but it can take a lot of personal practice and a true desire to want a better life. There are two mindsets. The first is the dreaded drama triangle, or DDT. The DDT is a story that is told almost always in fairy tales, books, and movies. Think of Sleeping Beauty or Snow White, where there's the damsel in distress, who's the victim, is being held captive or is under a spell by a villain. The villain, in turn, is a persecutor. Then there's a handsome Prince Charming who comes and saves the day. He's, of course, the rescuer. Now, this style is great for entertainment and fun, but in reality, it is toxic and could lead people into a more drama-filled life. That is, if they're expecting life to be as grand as a movie. Now, at the end of each of these stories, they say, and they all lived happily ever after. Except they don't actually get to live happily ever after if they don't change the story. Because they are stuck in this toxic drama triangle, they don't get to leave. Unless they decide to change their mindset into an empowered mindset. When the poor princess chooses to no longer helplessly wait around to be rescued, the empowerment dynamic can then take over. When the victim becomes a creator of their reality and understands that they have the power to act, that is when the empowerment dynamic can take over. Now, of course, I have another example for the empowerment dynamic, so it's not just one-sided. My favorite is Tangled. With the empowerment dynamic, Mother Gothel, who's the traditional villain, no longer has power over Rapunzel, but instead serves as a challenger, whose setbacks only make the challenger stronger, the creator stronger in the end. Now, of course, Rapunzel is being held captive in her tower and wants to leave. And so, she creates this reality where she is no longer trapped. Along the way, she meets a coach and ally, who is very handsome, I might add, who's Flynn Rider. In the drama triangle, he would have been the rescuer or the persecutor, but instead, he was a coach, and a very good one at that. This version follows the empowerment dynamic. Now, I know this is a lot to take in such a short amount of time. I would like to restate the power this has to change lives. It has changed my life and so many others. I am committed and passionate about bringing these concepts and more tools about how to practice this life to make it better. But I need your help. I stand before you today seeking your support in order to fulfill my mission in empowering teens to create a life they love and are passionate about. In order to do this, I'll need to hone my skills in sharing these concepts like a coach, coaching them to use these in real-life situations. In order to do this, I need to become an Empowerment Dynamic certified coach. In order to do this, I will prove my seriousness to you by requesting an initial donation to cover the cost of the Foundations course, which is $1,450. This is, of course, to the NGA board. Once I complete this, I would like your support to complete the Advanced course, which is $1,945. The final step after this will be to pay for the final level in certification. In return for your help, I promise to complete the Foundations course in full by December 10th of this year, as it starts in the fall. I promise to apply to the TED Foundations program by June 15th, and promise to complete at least 2 Overcoming Victimhood podcast interviews by May 24th, my graduation day. I also promise to pay it forward by sharing my Empowerment Dynamic presentations for free at all Acton academies across the world in order to refine it and make the best I can make it. I'll also be taking their feedback seriously and incorporating it into my presentations. Then I can share this knowledge with not just the Acton heroes, but also teens all around the world to help them become the best world changers ever. In closing, I'm grateful to all who have supported me along this journey. As I move forward, I'll make one final promise: to have a creator's mindset in all parts of my life. By doing so, I will inspire future generations with the courage to embrace their inherent potential, ensuring that they will never, ever stay in the mindset of a victim. Now, the leadership coach, Simon Sinek, says, "We are not the victims of our situations. We are the architects of it." So, let us embark on this journey together. Together, we can coach the adults in training, or the teens, empowering them to become the creators and architects of their own situations to change the world for the better. Thank you. And next we have Breezy Bowen.
As I stood backstage, I could hear the audience buzzing with excitement and anticipation. I felt nervous, yet ready. I could feel the confidence running through my veins like electricity. My costume was iconic and comfortable, and suddenly, it was time. The pre-show announcements ran through the theater with a sharp but exhilarating echo. I took a deep breath as the crowd roared with applause and excited cheers. The music started, the lights came up, and the curtain opened. It was time. It was time for me to go out and give myself to the world. I stepped out into the blinding light and smiled. The familiar warm light filled my soul with a sense of purpose and exhilaration. I had done it. I had made my 10-year-old self dream come true. I was on a Broadway stage. Now that we've gone into the future, let's take it back a bit. When I was 3, I was doing all kinds of stage work, dance, tavasi, and I even did gymnastics. Although, I wasn't very good at it. I would walk on stage, sit down, and refuse to move. I was definitely not the kid you'd expect to go into the performing arts. Skip forward a couple of years, and my grandmother was directing Wizard of Oz the musical. As a 4-year-old, I was ready to try again. My grandma put me and a few of my best friends as members of the Lullaby League, which is in one part at the very beginning of the show. When it was time, I stepped out on stage and did the dance I was taught. I did it. I actually did the dance. Now in 2018, my grandmother was putting on the show Mary Poppins. I wanted to be Jane Banks, but because she is my grandma and didn't want to look biased, she told me I probably wouldn't get the part. So I cut my hair. Really short. It was right under my ears. I did the audition expecting nothing more than the ensemble or to not get into the show at all. The day came and my grandma called, announcing each of the parts my siblings got. Braylee, Bo, JD, you will all be part of the ensemble. And then she said the words, "Breezy, I could not get you a part in the ensemble." My heart was broken. And then she continued, "Because you are going to be playing Jane." I was so excited. My heart skipped a beat and I jumped out of my seat. Everything about theater in that moment changed. I don't know if it was getting the part I wanted. I don't know if it was the rehearsal process or being in a show with my family. But I knew that I loved theater more than anything in the world, and I was meant to be on stage. I began attending Acton Leadership Academy at the age of 10, and it's been an amazing experience, though it's definitely hard at times. I've always been pretty self-accountable, but my peers did not like that I like to hold them accountable sometimes too. So eventually I learned to be both warm-hearted and tough-minded, and after that I had great relationships and friendships, and then we moved on to the Creekside campus where the new campus was being opened. I went from amazing to rock bottom within a few months. I was in the middle school group, and at a few times there were as few as 4 of us. And because of my limited contact with friends, I started to really struggle. Theater became my escape. And during that semester, I performed in Beauty and the Beast as Lumiere. During that show, I met my role model and current apprenticeship mentor, Miss Deb. Ever since spring 2022, I have done every show she's directed. My mental health began to go even further down, and it started to affect how I felt about things, how I was around people, and how I thought. I began to distance myself from all social gatherings I could except for theater. I stopped contacting my friends, and eventually, nothing could help me escape from my mentality. I turned to YouTube to help me connect to the world, and although it created short emotions, it didn't ever last. I was stuck, and frankly, I wanted to be. The only thing that could make me sincerely smile was theater. I had no desire to change until I realized that the only thing keeping me where I was me. I didn't want to know this, but I couldn't leave behind the fact that if I changed, everything could change. If I chose to change my mentality and work on myself, then I could move forward instead of staying stuck. And so, that's exactly what I did. Skip forward a few years, and here I am. I'm a 16-year-old girl who dreams of being on a Broadway stage. I've had my ups and downs, as everyone does, and I've even thought of quitting a few times, but I kept going. Now imagine this, a world where the overload of technology is balanced or overpowered with live, in-person, impactful human experiences. A world where live theater is a common and affordable experience. Now, from my personal experience, social media such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, etc., numbs kids and makes them feel as if they have to have certain opinions, dress a certain way, have certain products, and even alter their body to look like everyone else. On-screen entertainment is literally at the edge of our fingertips, and it's so readily available that it's incredibly easy to mindlessly waste hours playing and watching things that bring no true value to our lives. At the same time, we unknowingly waste away our real human feelings and most important connections. I think that if we can balance the amount of time we spend on phones, TVs, iPads, game consoles, etc., with uplifting and in-person activities, that we as a generation and society can change the world for the better. Now, what if instead of wanting to go to the movies or that have several takes, CGI, stunt doubles, and thousands of hours of editing, or wanting to stay home and be on our devices, people wanted to go to in-person and live experiences. This could be many things, but my focus is live theater. I believe that if we can create a bigger love and want for live theater, we can solve many problems, and this would include making it more accessible and affordable. Now, this is a huge goal, and if I'm being completely honest, I have no idea how to make this world a reality. What I do know is that in order to make this world of raw, real human emotion a possibility, I need to continue with my passion of performing and sharing that gift. To share my passion for the performing arts and live theater, I'll need to go to higher level classes that challenge me beyond the level of children's theater, connect with mentors that believe in uplifting entertainment inside the industry, and create opportunities for teens to go and experience and feel the things that I feel when watching and doing live theater. I have performed in exactly 26 shows, assistant directed 4, and done lights and sound for 5, which totals to 35 shows that I've been a part of. I have also taught preschoolers a dance to perform in front of their parents a few times, directed music video covers, spent over 2,000 hours inside the theater practicing, and around 300 hours in apprenticeships surrounding theatrical performing and technical production. That is proof that I'm committed to my industry. What I need to continue learning and challenging myself, both in the realm of performance and technical theater, is $4,000. This money will go towards these specific next steps. $1,500 for a BYU Young Ambassador Summer Program, which will help me learn new material quickly and teach me more performance techniques, as well as challenge me in a way I've not been challenged before. This will also help me determine whether the BYU Young Ambassadors Program is the best next step. $350 to purchase 4 vocal coaches created by Cheryl Porter, a world-renowned vocal coach. This is important because a lot of the advice I've gotten from people who are professionals in this industry is that if you want to go into live theater, one of the most important things to have mastered is your voice. And I feel that these vocal courses are a great way to master and control the technique of my voice. I need $750 for 2 Hale Center theater camps, 1 in technical theater and 1 in musical theater. These are helpful because they give me real-world experiences in a professional theater that's extremely developed and excellent in the technical aspect. And they also have extremely excellent and professional shows. I would also need $1,400 for living expenses and food for the 2 weeks that I'm in Utah. However, I am planning to come up with this money on my own. In return, I promise not only to complete the vocal courses and attend each course, I will also ask for and obtain at least 5 new contacts from each of the summer programs. I will use those contacts to gain further knowledge of what it truly takes to be in the performing arts industry and how to get there. I promise to continue to seek mentors who believe in using the stage as an uplifting and edifying way to share the magic of humanity and learn how to influence the industry and continue to challenge myself in different ways to encourage growth. My final promise to each of you is that I will plan and execute a trip to New York with 15 other youth who are interested in the performing arts before June 15th, 2025. The purpose of this trip would be to allow each of them to see and feel firsthand what true quality performances look and feel like. I promise to turn each performance into a learning experience through an open and honest debrief session, and to be a mentor to other up-and-coming actors so that they can raise the standards of their own performance. Oscar Wilde once said, "I regard the theater as the greatest of all art forms, the most immediate way in which a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being." Thank you. Next, we'll have Grayson Eversole.
Once upon a time, can everyone hear me? Perfect. Once upon a time, there was a young boy who was homeschooled and absolutely loved his indoor skydiving sport with tremendous passion. With an eager desire to excel, to be the best he could be, he began how to level himself up in the non-traditional sport. The young boy reached out to his mentor and, like a sponge, absorbed every word that could lead him to do what the best indoor skydivers in the world were doing. He was told about a camp in Poland that offers specialized training. Hearing this unleashed a wave of excitement, and he knew in that moment he would do whatever it took to make it to Poland. The cost of this camp was going to be $2,000, and well, at 10 years old, that felt like $1 million. With determination in his heart, he spoke with his teacher, otherwise known as Mom, and asked what he could do to make the money so he could attend the camp. She did what any good mom would do and suggested he earn the money himself. Truth be told, his teacher probably didn't think he was serious. Of course, after a few weeks of relentless hounding and no signs of giving up on the idea, his mom told him about an opportunity in a small town a couple hours away where he could potentially have his own little business. He was apprehensive at first because his teacher was forcing him to jump through all kinds of hoops to see if he could hack it. In the eyes of that 10-year-old were these silly hoops like research and development, writing his own business plan, spending his own money from his savings account for products, and running his own business for 3 weeks straight with very little help. Those hoops didn't scare him, and he settled on selling old-fashioned soda pops and vinyl stickers he made himself. With a $200 investment and all pride in his hand, he headed to Round Top, Texas to make his million. Boy, was that first day or two rough. He realized he didn't know a thing about selling to a bunch of ladies. So his daddy and friend made a few suggestions, taught him some funny jokes that would guarantee him a sale. By the fifth day, he sold $450 worth of product when an older gentleman walked up and handed him $200 in cash and told him to keep it. Well, to say he was extremely confused was an understatement. You see, the older gentleman expressed to that young boy that he admired his work ethic. You see, he watched the boy get up early, sell his product, count change, and tell jokes for 12 hours each day, only to do it again the next day. Of course, the man wanted to know why. Why was he missing school, and what was he raising money for? After a brief explanation, the man gave him an old suitcase and wrote a short advertisement letting people know what the money was for. At the end of the 3 weeks, that kid made over $2,500 and succeeded in raising the money. Although he didn't go to Poland for camp, for many reasons he hadn't thought of, he believed the best part of the experience was making all that money. He realized a few years later that the value wasn't in making the money, but in the experience of being an entrepreneur. That young boy was me, Grayson Eversole. From that moment on, I had an entrepreneurial spirit inside me that pushed me to create many different businesses. My parents searched high and low for the kind of school that would help me grow an entrepreneurial mindset. Acton Leadership Academy is where I found the road to success is paved with many failures. It also is the place to nurture leadership opportunities, learn to run businesses through apprenticeships, and research and development on skills you're passionate about. This also has helped my two businesses, AA Artistries and the Creation Station, with many opportunities to sell to local boutiques and at business fairs. I absolutely knew I wanted to offer other students the same opportunities I was blessed with. Imagine a world where all kids have access to the opportunities that could change their lives through failing and trying again, leading and taking ownership, and striving to put in the time and effort to become skilled in their passions. This is what Acton Leadership Academy has done for me, which is why my next great adventure is to own and operate my own Acton Academy one day. Imagine a world where every Acton graduate has a chance to work towards owning their own school. To one day achieve this, it's essential to establish a clear roadmap. My journey to ownership involves 3 key steps. Number 1, a graduate should establish and manage a profitable business in an industry of their interest for a minimum of 2 years. Number 2, those aspiring to become owners must conduct at least 100 interviews within their local community to progress towards ownership. Number 3, complete a 1-year apprenticeship at an Acton Academy with high ratings and that is in good network standing. After fulfilling these steps, an Acton graduate can continue the standard audition process to open an Acton Academy, greatly benefiting from these steps. I've spent months contemplating what it would take for me to become a successful Acton owner, and this plan I have been on myself. In the last 3 years, I've maintained my focus on learning multiple business skills through running 2 of my own businesses. The first began at an Acton Children's Fair, and I called it the Creation Station. It is a 3D printing business that makes unique creatures and fidget toys that not just kids love, but adults too. Since that fair, I've begun selling my creations at boutiques. I am the top selling product at one of these stores, selling over $7,000 in product. My second business is AA Artistries. I specialize in designing and selling Acton merchandise at our school. I've set up shop there, and I'm able to press shirts and hoodies on a donated heat press. With a little cost to start, sales are now totaling over $2,000 since it began earlier this year. In these endeavors, I've truly enjoyed learning the ups and downs of business and what it takes to follow through and continue learning from many mentors along the way. These smaller adventures is what are preparing me for owning a business that can truly change the world, with one Acton Academy at a time. Perhaps you are wondering why. Why couldn't I just start a school now? Well, in addition to needing more money and experience, I have one other major problem. I don't have any children yet. I'm not even married or dating anyone. Owning an Acton Academy is currently only open to parents that have children. So I need your help. And no, I'm not asking you to help me find a wife. So no, I am not asking you to help me find a wife or a child to adopt. I would like to start earning money that is specifically dedicated to fulfilling my ultimate dream of opening an Acton Academy. I have figured out that I need approximately $35,000 to begin my Acton Academy. But don't worry, I have a plan to make sure that I'm earning and learning along the way. In order to enact my next great adventure, I've created a plan for myself that will hold me accountable in true Acton fashion. My first goal is to obtain 100 Stars and Stepping Stone interviews. What is a Stars and Stepping Stone interview, you may ask? It is basically where you interview someone that is in your industry that you admire that could teach you something to help you along on your journey. After I interview the first 100 professionals, I am requesting the $15,000 Acton affiliation fee be completely waived. My second goal is to commit to becoming a guide for 2 years to better understand both sides of the Acton body, heroes and guides. After the 2 years are complete, I am asking for $10,000 in seed money for the beginning stages of my Acton Academy. My last goal is to commit to an apprenticeship at under an Acton Academy owner for 1 year. After the year is complete, I am asking for an additional $10,000 to help me opening the doors to my first academy. I would further like to request the same offer be extended to any Acton alumni that wish to open their own Acton Academy one day. The Acton Network's goal is to continue to expand their schools, so I have a feeling that this as a challenge to any alumni would absolutely embody what it means to be a lifelong learner. I promise to fulfill my commitments to you all today in the most powerful way possible by taking massive steps towards my adventure. I will succeed in obtaining 100 interviews. I will succeed in becoming a guide this year, and most importantly, I will become a fantastic Acton Academy owner that pushes young heroes to be their best, just like my mom did for me all those years ago. Thank you. Could we please have everyone that spoke up here today, all the launch padders, please come up here. We're going to get a photo and one last round of applause. And to everyone that came today, we would like to give you a massive thank you for showing up and cheering us on. We all have a great fire inside us to change the world for the better, and you all being here knows more than you could ever know. Good?
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. That was so incredible. If you are not just knocked off your socks, amazed, whew, it was awesome. Really quick before we end, did somebody lose these headphones that have a beeper on it? Because maybe you lose it a lot. Okay, thank you so much, you guys, for coming. Have a great rest of your evening. Refreshments are out in the lobby. Please join us for those.